Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me. I'm Dan. I'm a junior doctor currently living and working in London, and in my spare time I make YouTube videos, host an accountability group and talk about self-improvement. And today I wanted to talk about perfectionism. And as a result, in this video we're going to do something completely new. It's going to be a perfectionism challenge, and I am going to go from this point on with no editing, and this is all going to be done in one take. So let me know what you think about this style of video. I think it's more of a selfish video than anything because I'm trying to challenge my own perfectionist ideas, and I think they've been really holding me back, to be honest, in the last month. February has been a strange month. I've been away in Wales, I've been on leave, and there's been some strikes recently as well, and that has really sort of upheaved my schedule a bit, and I've been out of a routine. But not only that, I think perfectionism and avoidance probably has really played a part in why my YouTube in particular uploads have been reduced. And at the start of this year, I set a goal that I wanted to upload every single week, and I've definitely not hit that in February. I had a really good month in January, and the perfectionist in me just wants to give up, and I'm gonna say no, I'm not gonna. I can recuperate those lost weeks, and equally it doesn't even matter if I get 95% of my goal, then that would be awesome. So I'm desperately trying to challenge my own perfectionism, and in this video we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what to do when you are struggling with your own perfectionism, and we're going to give a few examples of that. So if you're new here, please do subscribe and check out the links in the description, and we're going to go from there. So the first thing to talk about is what is perfectionism, and I think, you know, everyone has a good idea. It's around having high standards that sort of end up reducing your output of work and getting in the way. And I would 100% agree with that. I think whenever I think of a perfectionist, I think of someone with, like, you know, different colored highlighters, and they're not actually, you know, revising necessarily. They're just sort of making it look pretty, and they're doing all the wrong things, basically. They're busying themselves, and someone that is sort of making loads of iterations or changing tiny little things, and actually the thing is fine, and they just need to put it out there. And I think that is true, but I think for me, in my own experience of perfectionism, it actually starts way before that. And I think perfectionism can actually stop me from even starting a project or a challenge, because I want to do it so perfectly that I won't actually ever start. And I have definitely felt that recently. I think with this YouTube channel, I just needed to get a YouTube video out. Whatever it was about, I just needed to get it out, which is also why we're doing this all in one take, to just get this done. And I think, you know, Ali Abdaal, we talk about him a lot in my accountability group if you're interested, but he talks about action being the antidote to overwhelm, and that is what I'm doing this morning. So if, so perfectionism anyway, I think, as much as I've said, it, you know, it's that typical highlighting and keeping yourself busy, I do think it starts earlier. And for me, it has really plagued my February, to be honest. And I had a very particular point as well that I wanted to make, that also it leads to a great dissatisfaction with the work that you end up putting out there. It's never good enough. And actually, that may seem so trivial, but actually it really sort of, I feel it in myself, and it affects my own understanding of my own self-worth and my self-confidence, and it's really not very enjoyable. So one of the examples with that I had was when we were building the van in Wales. So we often go to Wales to finish my camper van, which I've been building for the last 2 years. To be honest, it's a project that I think I really underestimated how much work it was. I think I did want a camper van, but I probably could have just bought a really nice cheap one. And actually this has been a huge project, and I'm very, very ready for it to be done. And with that in mind, the outcome that I am looking to get to is to have the camper van finished. So that is the context of this sort of anecdote. We went up to my grandparents and we worked there, me and Charlotte, for a few days on the van. And halfway through, the neighbour Julie came round, and she was talking about, you know, the van, how it had come along. And I said, oh, we've got this issue with the table. So I'll put some B-roll up. This is a loud edit in the video. But it sort of helps to explain, you know, what we've been doing in the van. But we have a slide out table, so you pull it out from under the bed, and from that point you can sort of sit down and have your meal, and you put it away. In the time that we've been working on the van, I think that table that was put in there has actually expanded. There's been some moisture that's gone into the wood, and it's expanded, and it got stuck. So this was, you know, it was something that I was just not thinking about, because I did not want to have to deal with this. And I mentioned it to Julie. And she kindly sort of volunteered her husband, Alan, who is a carpenter and a kitchen fitter. And we will come back to that point. Excuse me, I'm going to allow that edit as well. So he's a carpenter and a kitchen fitter, and he came bounding over and sort of was really, really enthusiastic, was really kind, and sort of said, yeah, we can fix that. And for me, this would have been a job that would have probably taken 4 or 5 days. I would have been super stressed about it because I would have had to have dismantled the whole van and put it all back together. And Alan took about 10 minutes to figure out the problem. And then he came around with all his tools. He was like a little monkey, like climbing in and out, like just taking out all the screws. He overcame so many things that I would have really struggled with, like broken screws, and he just was a total expert. And he took the table out, cut a piece off, 5 or 6 millimeters off the table, and put it all back together. And he did this in about 90 minutes. And I was obviously insanely grateful for Alan, for his time, for his skills, his expertise. But there was part of me that was sort of like, but I didn't do that. And this perfectionist sort of thought in my head was, does that really count? You didn't do that. Alan did that. And it just doesn't make you feel very good. Another edit that's allowed. It doesn't make you feel very good. And actually, the outcome is that I want to finish the van. So logically, if I have saved 5 days, a load of money, a load of pain, a load of stress, because I've asked Alan, I didn't even ask him. He offered, or his wife offered him to come and do it. What am I worrying about? Why am I making myself feel bad about that? I didn't even ask. And there's this perfectionist thing inside of me that is sort of like, well, you didn't do it, so it doesn't count. So I think that was just, an example of how ridiculous this can seem in your head. But actually, I think if we're honest with one another and talk about these kind of things, you'll find that other people are also having these problems. And that's what I found when we're talking about this in my accountability group. And I think that is one of the antidotes to perfectionism, is actually talking to someone, that you trust and that is actually going to listen, and saying honestly how you're feeling about something. And when someone is listening, they're going to be much more focused on the outcome and just see it so much clearer. They're not going to have all the biases and the noise and the sort of experience that you've had when you're telling the story, and you're just going to have an outcome that you're trying to get to, and they're going to be like, well, Dan, you said you wanted to finish the camper van, so you've just saved like 4 days of work, and it's like, that's a huge step in the right direction. What are you worried about? And they will challenge you on your perfectionist thoughts. And I think that is probably the biggest thing that you can do to try and stop perfectionism and stop it in its tracks. So yeah, we were discussing this in my own accountability group with Faye and Sarah, and Faye made a really nice point, and she said that she often finds that people sort of say to aim for 80%. And that's often some good advice around perfectionism. But for her, she finds it's still not good enough. And she wants to put maybe 85% or 90% in there. And that compromise between, having her standards met and also not impacting her productivity too much, she's found that compromise of letting it go to 85 or 90%, but not aiming for 100%, has meant that she can keep her standards, she can feel better in herself with that perfectionism that she naturally has, but also can be productive. And she runs a very successful business called Bear Hug Gifts. You can check them out in the description below. And I felt that was a really good point from Faye as well. So that is just a bit about perfectionism, what it is. We've talked about an example that I've been dealing with and sort of how to overcome it. Talking to people, having them challenge your perfectionist ideas, I think is the ultimate way to deal with perfectionism. So if that was helpful, please let me know. There was something else that I saw when I was researching this, and that was the sort of the trap of perfectionism. And this was actually a video by School of Life, and I'll link it down below. But they were saying that actually when we're looking around in the world and we're getting inspiration from people, we're listening to music or seeing artists, we are hearing the very best work that they have put a lifetime into, and that is their perfect piece or their perfect piece of art. And actually there were thousands or tens of thousands of iterations before that we don't get to see. And so although we need inspiration to go into things and to choose our careers and to inspire us to do things, we also have this sort of we don't have any understanding of how good that actually is and how much work it actually takes to get to that point. And that can often lead to a very deep dissatisfaction with our own mediocrity, because our ambition is to be like that, but actually that's going to take many, many years. And I think especially with the rise of social media, that is a really good thing to sort of keep in the back of your mind as well when you're thinking about perfectionism. So yeah, I hope that was useful. If you are interested in joining a community that is like-minded, that is self-reflective, and spends some time talking about this kind of topic, and you want to challenge your own perfectionism, like I am in this unedited video that I am putting out on the internet, then join us in the description. It's called Self-Improvement Sundays. It is completely free, and we've been going for 2 months now. It's every single Sunday, and it's at 9 a.m. over Zoom. So please come and join us. We would love to have some new members. It's an awesome community that we've built up, and I look forward to meeting you there. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe. I just spat on a YouTube video. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and check out this video here, which is a day in the life. This is what I do for a living and how I balance my medical career as well as a YouTube channel. And then check this video out here, which is all around the benefits that I've had for not drinking alcohol for now over a year, and I'm going to continue it. It's awesome. You should check it out. If not, just follow for the next video, and I will see you in the next one. I need to go have a lie down. Thanks, guys.